always enjoyed media that have a cult following, especially ones whose fandoms are as omnipresent as God himself. I'm sure you've heard of Breaking Bad, or in the case of games, Deeper Galactic, and I'm sure it was against your will. And that's exactly how I stumbled upon Project Moon games, because whatever they are, they've been plaguing every corner of the internet recently. No matter the topic. Okay, let's say, hypothetically, that I would want to open an offshore account for my 2 decades of tax evasion that I hypothetically would owe to the government. But before I develop a gambling addiction through playing the Millie Gacha, I'll see where it all began by experiencing what it was like to have a headache 7 years ago. And just like I made my Linux video slower because your average Linux user is a fossil, I'll make this video faster than usual because the average Project Moon fan has ADHD. Induced by glue snorting. So I have to warn you that what you just saw was the slowest part of the video. Lobotomy Corporation will live up to its name. I'll make sure of that. Now my first impressions of this game were pretty high.
I'm killing my own employees. CEO grind sets. Let's go!
It does start off with a pretty long dialogue section explaining to you what's going on, so let me butcher it by summarizing it in about 20 seconds.
Manager, I'm so glad you're finally awake. Are you ready for your monster milking debut?
Is that Teto? Wait, did you... Who am I?
Oh, right. You are lobotomized. How would you like to be called?
Purely... You're right, nice try, Phil.
So you're the manager?
That's
How
not...
convenient. Welcome to Lobotomy Corporation. I'm your personal assistant, Angela, and I will guide you through the process of monster
Please don't finish that
milk.
sentence. What am I doing exactly?
Simple. You're helping us generate energy by extracting vitality from murderous entities. But don't worry, you will never be put in danger yourself. Other people will do that for you.
Other people, as in...
More people.
Oh, she have a CEO.
That's the spirit. Anyway, your shift starts now. Good luck.
Wasn't she supposed to help me? It's been 100 years and AI is still fucking useless. Great. Now the starting difficulty is basically non-existent, so you can find out the basics, controls, or what this game is even about. Which is a colony sim. What's a colony sim? Google the history of the British Empire. Any history book will do. The goal is to simply get enough energy to finish the day, which you get by working on abnormalities. At the start of each day, you must choose which new abnormality you wish to add to your facility, with very informative flavor text to aid in your choice, like the girl begged in tears. Mister, please cut off my... What the f... With my infinite hatred, I give you this trip. Dude, your little angel is gnawing on her colleague's finger.
In the name of love and justice, here comes Magical Girl.
And who can forget? And my dear employees, I do hope you all put on the gas masks we distributed to you before we enter. With the fourth choice always being a tool instead of an abnormality, which either helps you significantly or doesn't. Sometimes it pranks you really bad. You always start with one sin and hundreds of good deeds, which is literally just free real estate to train your employees. For my first 4 days, I made the mistake of taking a burn victim, skin dread, and a frequent tea. Every abnormality behaves very differently. Some can escape, some even help you, and some are there just to piss you off really bad. Scorched Girl over here has her quote... Q counter reduced when the work result is anything short of congratulations. And when it reaches 0, she escapes, targets a random employee in the facility, and does not come back until she made the funny November 9th joke. Or something. I don't know, I live in Europe. And the Skin Prophecy, yes, that's the actual name, which doubles your brain size with each use, but if you ever panic during the same day you've read it, you will instantly experience Polish crosswalk on a Sunday. But as you'll soon see, these are nowhere near the worst you can get. In fact, these are pretty reasonable.
Manager, it now marks 4 days since you started your monster milking adventures. And not only are you still alive, the facility's output also increased by over 30%. Now that you've proven yourself to be more capable than the average manager, you will now manage additional departments as the amount of abnormalities increases.
Anything else I need to know?
We also shaped our facility like an upside-down exchange with more horrifically pleasant surprises the further down you go.
So let me get this straight. I'm the manager of a multinational energy monopoly which shaped its torture chambers in accordance with the Jewish religion. I chose the perfect time to play this game, didn't I?
Malkuth!
So you're the new manager? Sorry I'm late. I was busy killing 340 billion employees. Was what they were misbehaving.
Manager, this one looks trouble. Maybe he needs help.
I think he just needs a cigarette.
Leave that to me.
One of the greatest things about this game is that whenever you hire a new employee, you can customize them for one additional upgrade point, which I did. for every single employee. I first started naming them after the people I featured on this channel, starting with myself, obviously, and tested if there was a character limit.
Yeah, I thought that it would be like Sexy Mars or some shit, but no. You want that as a name?
I'm really never gonna be the narcissism allegations. A character limit there is not. The second character is my brother. As you probably have guessed, he's Polish. Just like me. The third character is the French Zylinder. And you guessed it, he's Algerian.
Oh sacre bleu, oh mon vélo romantique est tombé dans les fendus du fromage.
Jambon beurre. Non, pire encore. Travail, pas de chômage.
Oh no, oh baguette, oh mille sabords.
The fourth is Hugo Boss Altus, who's German. And this time, I can't understand a single word he's saying.
Fuck do you mean you can't understand? I'm literally speaking in the language you use the most.
See, he could be talking about invading Poland for all I know, and I wouldn't have a clue. The fifth is he's bald. What do bald people do all day?
Smug.
I mean, they're depressed, I guess. そして最後にスキットだ。これは仕方なかった。ゲームがタダで押し付けてきたんだ。Truly the melting pot of the universe, and we fucking hate each other. But not only does the game not have any character limit, it also doesn't censor any names. So you can hear a lot of concerning sentences if taken out of context.
The fuck, it sounds so bad.
Read me Bible quotes, obviously. Ryan Gosling, suppress the child.
You're trying to go back in there, fuck the spider.
The German is nailing the universe. Laura accurate. So Alex Jones resists black. Shut the fuck up. I kind of ran out of ideas a couple of names in, so I went with the best antidepressant in the universe. White Girl Music, to name any further characters. The game also shortcuts your employee names in the most unfortunate ways you can possibly imagine.
Mistakenly thought they were...
Realized
There was-
your name is just supreme.
The French. The next four mistakes I've made were Fragment of the Universe, Spider-Bud, The Frosted Mariah Carey, and something I do not possess as a CEO. Well, not anymore. But you might be asking yourself, what stops you from farming the same abnormality over and over until you reach the daily quota? Well, day 5 is what? Every time you work on an abnormality, you increase the meltdown level by 1, and when it reaches full, it either makes a random number of abnormalities tweak, and if you don't work on them within 60 seconds, they tweak, or it triggers an ordeal, which is color-coded and named after a time of day. The color indicates what will happen, and the time indicates how much you'll fucking hate it. You have piss-easy ones like Green or Purple Dawn, which is just go kill these before they release the abnormalities. And then you have ones like Green Dusk or Purple Noon. That's right, it insta-kills any employee in your safe zones when it first spawns. This is when you'll discover that there's a restart the day button. You'll be using it a lot. I guarantee it. Now, most abnormalities have 4 ways in which you can work on them, with each usually having a preferred one, which you can either deduce by using your critical thinking skills as best as you can. What the fuck is that? Isn't that a reindeer?
Dumbass.
If I were to guess, it's probably gotta be attachment.
What insight is there to have? An instinct? Yeah, my instinct is to fucking run. Or just fuck it, we ball. And that's the great thing about the reset button. You may lose all progress from today, but the knowledge of your embarrassing performance is forever. Now, Rudolta here happens to be my first abnormality of the 3rd difficulty, of which there are 5. Zion, the easiest. Death, the 2nd. The 3rd. World at War, the 4th. And Aleph, the worst. But the game doesn't just hate you outright with these. It pretends to make it fair sometimes. Most abnormalities happen to have an armor and weapon reward called Egos, which you can buy by spending the points you've earned by working on that specific abnormality. And usually the higher the abnormality difficulty, the better its equipment. Usually. Back to my mistakes, of which there aren't many. If you make him unhappy, Rudolta just makes you go insane. The shopping mall at Christmas experience, Fragment of the Universe, is pretty chill. Yeah, he's just groovy like that. Heart of Aspirin, which boosts the health and attack speed of whichever employee that happens to pick it up at the horrific cost of not being able to return it for the day. Oh, the horror. And this guy. Now, earlier this month, I got sent a message, and I quote, Go do insight on Spiderbud. Well, this is Spiderbud. It does not escape. However, any employee that does insight work on it will get instantly vaporized. So when someone tells you, go do insight on Spiderbud, they're not giving you words of encouragement. They're telling you to kill yourself. Day 10 is when you get your first choice of departments, instead of them being imposed upon you. Like the rest of the game.
I don't need weak employees in my depot. Okay, she's base. Malkuth? More like Giga cute.
Weakness means elimination. You can choose between safety and training, where safety improves the healing and resistance of your employees, while training makes them easier to control. So I went with training, obviously. Who needs security when you got style? I shall commemorate this by hiring John Wicker. He's John Wick. But Wicker. And would you look at that, I accidentally chose a puppy as an abnormality. What a coincidence. But still, what kind of a cruel world does this game take place in to think that puppies are considered abnormal? Never mind, we should normalize games. Now, the next one is a bit more serious and touches on some pretty heavy topics. Now, I could make a self-deprecating joke about how I identify as kilometers per second because I want to KMS, or make a snarky comment about how you're not terrible at everything you do and you're a great multitasker. After all, you managed to disappoint multiple people at once, or how your future self is talking shit about your present self, so you should ruin his life. Okay, I would have taken it seriously, but its ego weapon is literally called the wrist cutter, so I gave it to Sun Tzu. I mean, with all of the misquotes attributed to him, I'm surprised he didn't invent it. There's also some weeboo abnormality and piano, but nothing too noteworthy, except that it ironically is the first congratulations abnormality. She chooses the first employee that makes her laugh and makes them her special little servant, who can no longer work on anyone but has giant stat boosts. I usually sent Lady Gaga in there because I can only betray my wife in her dreams. Next is the funeral of the dead butterflies, who has the biggest swagger and kindly teaches you how you can control your employees so they don't stand in the middle of traffic on a Sunday. Then Punishing Bird. I could explain it, but don't fight back and you'll be just fine. Next is the Silent Orchestra, which is the first Aleph risk abnormality. Just like my middle school teacher, for real. It happens to be one of the only abnormalities on which you are praying not to get a good result. Just a big old meh, because when you do, he gets excited. He just like my middle school teacher, for real. His Q counter lowers and he only has 2, and when it reaches 0, he escapes and blesses you with his musical moves, with each one being more grandiose, superb, and absolutely masterful in execution.
I don't like this entity.
And when he's finished blowing out your eardrums and killing half of your employees, he steals all of your aura, so you have to basically start over again. He's like a New Yorker on steroids. Minus the steroids. Now further down the line, I did get a couple of very quirky ones, like the shelter from the Bite of 87, which literally makes itself into the safest place on Earth. This statement was written by an army of half Jewish, half Asian lawyers, because it's true, it makes itself into the safest place on Earth. By making itself the only safe place on Earth. Now, while New York is still in your short-term memory, let's talk about Letitia J.
Oh, I am so getting in trouble for that.
Whose subject number is 00167. As you have definitely guessed, she brings the demon out of you. And finally, Hugo Boss Altus is brother from another mother, and the fan favorite.
Nice.
Because he hands you an intervention dealing 80 black damage so you can quickscope anything that's problematic, including employee. Now, what is this whole black damage I've mentioned twice in this video already? Well, the game has 4 damage types, which are pretty simple. Red, which is physical damage. White, which is emotional. Black, which is both. And pale, which inflicts percentage max health physical damage. So theoretically, 100 pale damage will one-shot anything that doesn't resist it. Think dropping the Bible in a room full of Las Vegas. Oh, the Bible is fake. Then explain this, motherfucker. And that's also what the armors are for. Some resist all damage a little, some trade resistance for weakness, and some are supremely overpowered. However, getting them is usually not worth it. See White Knight for more information.
Manager, it's been 21 days since you started working here. Do you know what that means?
I get paid?
You get to deal with your first score suppression.
I don't like the sound of that.
I didn't ask.
Hey, I'm about to go be small. You better suppress me.
You know how when you and the boys are about to have a horrible time together, so you collectively say, it is what it is? Well, what is it? Yeah, fair point. So anyway, Giga Q, what was that about the Mr. B suppressors?
Alpha 1 to Bravo 4, releasing the Predator missiles.
No! When I said release the Predator, I meant the missile, not the fucking teacher.
Oh, we're so fucked.
I'm just praying while working at this point. Boss events, which the game tastefully calls... Can they not? Core suppressions unlock permanent upgrades that make that department immune to meltdowns by confiscating their Twitter account. Now I said boss events because this is the first one out of 10, and you unlock it at day 21 when you have 18 abnormalities out of 85. But what if you get stuck in an arrangement of abnormalities that's impossible to deal with? Especially during boss events, like Parasite Tree and Express Train with both being on opposite sides. I wouldn't know anything about it. Well, you can just start from day 1 with everything still being unlocked. You just have to remake your employees and get used to a new layout. Call it Lobotomy's new game class. A lot of the boss events have their own gimmicks, mechanics, sometimes it's actual boss fights, but I'll let you discover the rest for yourself and find out how much of it was editing and how much of it was the actual game. Angela, how do I deal with this abnormality?
Sure, here's a pipe bomb recipe using
No. So these videos started to cost me...
I got promoted, the tax exemption.
So I'm gonna do what's called a gamer move and beg for money like the other YouTubers. With each video I release, I'm gonna include as many projects and media files as possible that preferably doesn't include me getting sued. So if you'd like to learn or get an idea of what goes on in these videos or just really want your name in the credits, link in the description. Anyway, see you in the next video where we will hopefully survive the day to see Mariah Carey get put back in the freezer for next Christmas.